Hey fellow beaters, so it's JP and I'm back with another tutorial for you. This should be a lot of fun to make. Well, this is Prismatic right angle weave. So this is the earring that I designed, and it's really cute, just a kind of a fun little dangly straight earring. And the earring is about an inch. Let me get my ruler. I think I measured it later in the video, but there it is. It's about an inch and a quarter, give or take, if you can see that. And I think it's about 3.5 centimeters. Not quite, just under, whoops, sorry, should be in the frame. Not quite 3.5, it's like maybe 32 or 33 millimeters is what that is. And so this is prismatic, and what makes it prismatic is this has 5 sides. Prismatic right angle weave is the technique, that is, versus cubic right angle weave, which would give it 4 sides. So if you look down there, you can kind of look down straight at the earring. You can see it's got 5 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it's a really, I think it came out really, really nicely. So let me show you what bead types you need, and you should probably, this is a little advanced tutorial. It may be hard to follow if you don't know how to do cubic right angle weave. So you have been warned. So if you have difficulty, it's because, it may be because you're just, you know, this is newer. You're newer to beading is what I'm trying to say. And so you just, you know, might not have the experience with cubic right angle weave. You kind of really need to know it in order to understand prismatic. So I'm going to show you how to do this using 2 different color seed beads. So this other model here, this other piece I did, the only difference is I used these teal zircone, blue zircone 11-0s, but everything else is the same. It just makes it easier to see on camera, and that's the only reason I did it with 2 different colors as opposed to the silver. I really love the silver, but when you try to video with just silver on silver, it's really difficult to see clearly what I'm doing. Anyway, so in addition to that, those 2 colors you'll need, these are 2mm fire polish. You can use 8-0s if you don't have the 2mm. And any bead will go, so it doesn't have to be a fire polish. It can be a pearl, any type of round bead, a bicone, but the size is what's important, so it has to be a 2mm. And so you can also use an 8-0 there. In addition, I have these 4x3mm rondelles. Again, you can use whatever you want, it doesn't matter. You can use pearls, bicones, fire polish even. So I just happened to, the colors all sort of matched, and I didn't have bicones or anything else or fire polish in that color, but I had rondelles, so I think it worked out nicely. Anyway, let's get started. Alright, so before I begin the tutorial for the earring, I actually want to go through how to do prismatic right angle weave, and I'm going to do it using 8-0 beads. It's going to be a little bit easier to see than it is with the 11-0s. The 11-0s are small, so even though I'm working with 2 different colors, so you'll see that later in the tutorial, you might find it difficult to follow. So on your thread, you're going to start with 5 beads. So this particular PRAW is PRAW 5. Is what the design is, and so what I'm doing here is going to tie a knot. When I'm using the 11s, I don't tie a knot, I just go through the beads several times. But with the 8-0s, because the holder is so big, you can tie a knot and not have it get all clogged up, and still do multiple passes. So here is my 5 beads. Now, so with prismatic, it's just like cubic right angle weave, except you have a different number of beads. With cubic, you're always going to be starting with 4, hence the term cubic. With prismatic, the number can be 3 or higher. So technically, cubic right angle weave is a type of prismatic right angle weave. And so I'm going to work with 5. So to make my next side, and so I have 5 sides is what I need to make here, and so I'm going to pick up 3 beads to make side 1. Side 1 is always 3 beads, whether you're doing cubic or anything else, it's going to be 3 beads. Then move into the next red bead, And then side 2 is going to be only 2 beads. So I'm going to pick up one of each color. I'm going to go into the blue and then into the red. So, and if you haven't noticed or don't know, if you don't know me, I'm left-handed. So if you're finding this difficult to follow along because you're right-handed, that might be why. It does make a difference when trying to learn this, that you go with you learn it from the person who has the same hand as you, is right. If you're right-handed, the person you're learning from it's easier if the other person you're learning from is also right-handed, and vice versa. So again, a blue and a red, because side 3 is also going to be 2 beads. And again, you're going to go through the blue and the red. So I'm just working my way around my circle of red beads. So I'm going to go into my bead number 4, red number 4 here. And I'm making side number 4. So again, it's going to be blue and red, and I'm going to go into blue and red. And if you push these upward, you're going to start to see that they're not actually supposed to lie flat. They're 3-dimensional. And last red bead here. The last side, you only need 1 bead in order to complete the entire side. All right, and if somehow, there we go. So I'm coming out of that red. Now go up into the blue. And all I need in order to complete my 5th side, because each side should have 2 blue beads and 2 red beads. So in order to complete this one, I just need the red. So I'm going to go into this blue on the opposite side. And now you can see that particular side is done. So I'm just going to go back and go all the way back around and come out of the red again at the top. And then into the blue. And then into the red. Now, the red beads here at the top are not connected to each other, so they have to get connected. So all I'm going to do is go through all of the red beads and connect them together. And just give it a nice tug to tighten it all up. So there is my 5-sided raw. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4, and there's 5. As you can see, that's where the thread is exiting there, the top. All right, now to start the second unit, you're going to do the same exact thing again. So we're coming out of this red bead. To make side 1, you're going to pick up 3 beads. So it's blue, red, and blue. Go back through that red bead. That's done right there. Go into the next red bead, just 1. And now you're going to pick up a blue and a red, so this time it's only 2 beads. Go into the blue here from the other side and then down back through the red. And that creates side number 2. Go into the red, pick up 2, and so I hope you saw that. I picked up 2 here, and then I went into the blue and then into the red. Side 3. Side 4, again, go into the next red. And again, I'm going to do blue and red, and then blue and red. So 4 sides are done. And you can see to make side number 5, I just need a red bead. So go into this next red and then up into the blue. Add your red bead. So I'm adding the red, and I'm going into the blue on the opposite side and back into the red again. So there it is, and then up into the blue and into a red. It doesn't matter, you can go into this one or this one, but we're going to connect them all together. That's the last step in each unit that you make. Connect all the beads on the top together. So I just tighten that up. So here they are. So there's the top 5 beads, and then here's 2 units of prismatic right angle weave. And then you're just repeating these steps over and over again. So it's 3, then 2, then 2, then 2, then 1. All right, so let's go ahead and work with the 11-0 beads now. Hopefully this will make the 11-0 beads portion will make a lot more sense now that you've seen it with the 8-0s. All right, so to start, what you're going to do is pick up 5 11-0 beads, and just like I have here, and we're going to make a circle. So I'm going to bring it all the way down, bring my thread to the end here, and then just go back through the beads one more time, just like that. So I'm just going back through them. And going through a few more because that'll tighten up my circle. And then just pull it tight so you get this wonky looking. That's not really a circle, but that's okay. Don't worry. If it doesn't look perfect, it's not meant to. And I'm just going to go through these next 2 beads. And I grabbed my little partner bead, the other earring there, and so this is what you should have. And then go ahead and tie, actually I'm not going to tie a knot just yet because we're going to be going through the beads several more passes, and so I want to make sure that I can continue to pass through the beads. What I'm going to do now is actually pick up 3 beads. So I'm going to pick up my other color, the silver, and then my other teal color here. Or I think this is known as zircon, is the name of the color. Those are from Toho, and then the silver beads are my Yuki galvanized silver. So this is what you want to do. Just like that. And then, so I just went back through the same bead that I was exiting. What I'm going to do now is go into the next silver bead here. So I have 5 silver beads, and so this piece is going to have 5 sides. Just like cubic right angle weave, CRAW has 4 sides. This particular one is, the way I've set it up is to have 5 sides. Now for the next set, I only need 2 beads, so I'm going to start with my my zircon color and then my silver. And I'm going to go into the zircon color and then into the silver with it. So I'm going to go into both of those together. So, and the reason I'm doing this in 2 colors is to make this easier to follow along. So this is a pretty advanced piece, especially if you're not comfortable with doing CRAW yet. This is going to be much harder to do. And then I'm going to move into the next silver colored bead. And I'm going to repeat what I just did. So I'm going to grab my green and my silver and go through the green and then down into the silver again. So I have 3 sides made. I need to make 2 more sides. So I have 2 more empty beads. And one more time, so you can see as you hold this is going to kind of come together and create a unit like so. And I'm going to move over 1 more silver bead. So I'm just moving over into that bead in the base. And again, repeat. Pick up your 2 and go through the green and then through the silver. All right, so now what I'm going to do, so this last step, you got to connect all the sides together is what I'm doing here. And I don't want to drop the piece, I want to make sure you can see this really, really well. So first of all, I got to go into the silver bead. And let me move. So I'm going to go into the silver bead, and then I'm going to go into the green bead here. And then once again, I'm going to pick up, this last time, all I need to do is add 1 silver bead. And then go down into the green on this side, so it's on the opposite side. Then back into that silver from the beginning. And then back up through the green one more time. Now, this is the top of this little unit, and you can see the beads are going in all sorts of directions because these silver beads are not connected to each other, so they need to get connected. So I'm coming out of that green that's on the side. I'm going to go through the next 2 beads. It doesn't matter what direction you go in. So you can go this way, which is counterclockwise, or you can go clockwise. So let's just go ahead and continue clockwise. So I've gone through 3. I'm going to go through the next 2 and then come back to the first bead. And that's the first bead right here. That's where I started. Started my little clockwise, and then give them a tug, and they'll come together. And so then you get your unit. So if you were doing CRAW, this would, you would have 4 of these beads together, and it would have, and this is what it would look like. It looks really bizarre right now, but once you do a few more units, it's going to come together really nicely. So let's do this one more time. And so I'm coming out of that silver bead. I'm going to pick up 3 beads to make my first side. It's going to be a green, a silver, and a green. And I'm going to go back through that silver bead again. Now continuing on, I'm going to go into the next silver bead here. And it's going to be green and silver. So we're going to do this 3 times like I did before. So this is once. And again, you're going to go into the green and then again the silver. So I happen to be going in a slightly different direction just because of the way I connected these beads together. Since I went clockwise, we're going clockwise, but with adding the sides. In the previous, when I made the first unit, we were actually going counterclockwise. And again, it doesn't matter. So if you're more comfortable going in one direction than the other, then just do that. So again, move over to the next silver bead. And again, pick up 2 beads. This is easier to follow with 2 different colors, but you don't necessarily have to do 2 different colors, as you saw in this, my little example here. And then once more, just go over into the next silver bead. And please note that I'm actually going through, as I'm adding this, I'm going through the green bead and then the silver bead on the bottom. Like so. So you can see it'll have an alternating look of green and silver. Now this is where you connect all the sides together. So I'm going through that silver again. And I'm just going to turn it this way so you can see a little better. So I'm coming out of that silver. I'm going to go up into the green and then into the silver, or pick up a silver, and I'm going into this green over here. It's on the opposite side. Here's this green, that's where the thread is coming. This one's on the opposite side. So it works up the same way as CRAW does, CRAW, not CROW. And the only thing is, in this case, you have 5 sides as opposed to 4. That's the only difference. Now, from the green bead, I want to go into the silver, then the green, and the silver. So now we're back to the top, and again, this is just like we did before. See how the beads are separate? So I'm just going to connect them together. And so I'm coming out of this one. I'm just going to continue into all the silver beads until I come back out of that first one. And there it is. So now I have 2 units done. And that's it. So you just repeat these steps until you get the length that you want. So in this case, I had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So you want to make sure, in order to do this particular type of pattern, you want to make sure you do an even number of units. So 4 is a good number. It gives you a nice length. So this is about, grabbing my ruler here. So it's about 1 1/4 inch, or about maybe just slightly under 3.5 centimeters. Not quite. So, and then depending on the ear wire you add, it'll give it a little extra length to that. So a good length for an earring. Anyway, keep going and then I will show you the next step. Alright, so I've got my 6 units of PRAW done right here. And here's what the top looks like. So there's my thread. So I've already connected all of these beads together. But what I'm going to do is actually put in an 11 between each of these beads. So I'm going to pick up an 11 and I'm coming out of this one. I'm just going to go into the next 11. And I'm going to repeat until I get all the way around. So 2 more after this. So you're going to be adding a total of 5. And 1 last one. Alright, so it makes the little star shape look a little bit bigger. Now what I want to do is I want to come out of one of the green teal beads here. So I'm going to go over 1 more of my 11s here. I'm just going to go from this 11 to the next 11. And just got to get my needle does not cooperate. Okay, let's look at this, do this direction here. Just going into that 111. There we go. Now go into the teal colored 11, or at least in my case it's teal colored. Just like so. And now what you're going to do is go ahead and grab your whatever bead that you're using. So I'm using my little 2mm beads here. Oops, wrong end. Here's some. And so there, I'm coming out of this bead right there. I'm going to pick up my fire polish and I'm going to go into the next teal colored bead. And this is going to just pop right into place. It should fit perfectly. And then I'm going to pick up an 11 and go into the next one. So I'm going to alternate between the fire polish and an 11. And the reason for this is that they fit much nicer if you alternate between the two, as opposed to doing the whole thing with just your 2mm beads. It tends to cause it to bulk a little bit. The red is caught there, so alright. And okay, let's see. Okay, so I went ahead and added my second fire polish. So now I'm going to add my silver into this teal and the last of my little fire polish on this side. So go into the next one. All right, so we've got one side done. Now what we're going to do is go into one of the silver beads. So I'm coming out of this teal. I'm just going to go into the silver bead here that's right next to it. And then I'm going to do the same thing that we did here. I'm going to go ahead and add my silver 11s all the way around. So I'm just picking up an 11 and going into the next 11. Okay, one more after this. And then you just want to go into this next 11 here. Don't want to go any further if you can avoid it, just like that. All right, so now we're back to where we had come up making these. So I'm coming out of this silver here. So I want to go into this teal color here of the 11s. And what that's going to do is put me in position to go ahead and add the next row of fire polish. And make sure your thread doesn't get wrapped around. Oh, I think I didn't. I think we're good. Okay. So again, I'm going to alternate between my fire polish and my silver 11. So first, pick up your fire polish and go into the teal. Then the silver. And all we're doing is just pulling them into place. They're not, because the whole piece will stiffen up. It'll feel really kind of soft right now. But as you get all the pieces in, all the sides done, it will stiffen up. Just like that. And then the last of the fire polish going into the teal. All right, so now all we have to do is just do all the rest of the sides. So I've got 2 of the sides done. You can see how pretty that looks. It sort of really firms that side up. And you're just putting in, and what's nice is it's easy to follow because you're just putting your beads here between the teal colored beads. So I'm coming out of this teal. I'm just going to move over into the next teal here. So I got to go through my silver. And then just turn the work a little bit and just go into the teal. Just like that. And go ahead and start adding the fire polish is what goes next. And again, it'll pop into place. And then put in the silver 11s and fire polish. And the silver now. Oops, I picked up 2. And again, I'm just going to go into the teal here. All right, so 3 sides are done. And I think you get the idea. Basically, you're going to move over into this next teal. I'm just going to turn it sideways here a little bit. So I'm going to go into the silver. and then into the teal. And we're going to repeat what we just did now. Another row to do. So let's see, I'm going to need a few more of these beads. There's my fire polish. And so I'm here in this teal here. So you can see the thread and going up into this one. And now the silver. And the teal. The silver. I said teal, but I meant the fire polish, which are kind of a lighter teal. And then so back, we're going to go through this last teal with a fire polish. And get my needle around. All right, my needle is bumping up against the silver there at the top. There we go. I don't know if you can hear the thunder. I've got a storm. It's been kind of stormy here today. Go into the silver. And if you go into two like I just did, that's okay. You're just going to back out of the one. So just back out of this one silver. And then go down into this last row of teal beads. And now we can add up our last row of fire polish and seed beads. So again, here's my fire polish, and I'm going to go into the next teal bead here. And then my silver. And my fire polish again. My silver. And my last fire polish, and we are just about done. Again. All right, there you are. So the whole piece is done. It should feel nice and stiff now. And it looks really nice, I think. Anyway, so time to tie off. And all you're going to do is tie some half-inch knots. So I'm just going to continue and go back into the next, go into the next row here of the fire polish and just tie some half-inch knots. We've gone through these beads so many times that this should be fairly secure. And you know how to move over into the row. You just go into the silver bead like I did here, from this teal bead to silver bead, into the next teal bead. And then just tie a half-inch knot. So you can do 3 of these if you want. And then the knot gets hidden away into the fire polish, which has got a bigger hole. And then I'm going to continue through my silver and the teal. And again, I made a second knot. And I'm going to go ahead and trim. I think 2 knots are just enough. Okay, so grab my thread zapper. All right, so for the next part, you're going to need that hat pin. And I'm using a couple of these at the end here, these 4mm or 3x4 rondelles. You can use whatever you have. So if you have bicones, you can use bicones. This is the color, so I just had to do with what colors I had. So I didn't have a bicone in this color, but I did have some rondelles. And I'm going to need a different hat pin because this one's bent and my rondelle won't go through it. So let's see if I straighten it. Is that going to help? I'll be back in a second. All right, let's try this again. I got my hat pin, so I'm going to put my rondelle in there, and then I'm going to feed my earring through, and it'll come straight up, just like that. And then putting the other rondelle at the top there. Now, I'm going to take my flesh cutters and trim just off a tiny bit of this, because I know it's just a bit too long. And so there's that tiny bit that I cut, and the whole thing came apart as I trimmed it, but that's okay. I probably should have just trimmed it first. I don't know why I put it together. Silly me. Anyway, there we go. Back into the rondelle, back into the earring, and so there it is. And then just take your round nose pliers and make a loop. So there's my loop. It's partially done. I like to just tilt this backwards just a little, and there it is. And I've got an ear wire right here. So just pop that open. Put this on. And there we have it. See how easy that is? And let's see if I can find my other ear wire here. Here's my other ear wire. I'm just going to go ahead and feed that one on. Anyway, they're two different, a little bit different looking, but that's okay. I wanted to make sure you can see the different colors and see what I was doing. So hopefully this was easy to follow. If you know how to do cubic right angle weave, these should be very easy to make. Anyway, I'll see you in the next tutorial.